this archaeology? Get out of there, Dan!
I changed my time clock too. Should be charging the client for this.
Oh, because I was gonna say that's this weekend that we changed the clock, and we're live, by the way.
My time.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I have 2 Zoom windows. Well, whatever. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 112, where we're all in sync, and
Wait, 112? Were we like much higher than that at some point? Is it 112 for real?
Yeah. Like I've been obviously every time I add one to my YouTube playlist, obviously I just double check the numbers.
Yeah, I suppose so. It feels like a really high number, and then yet not high enough at the same time.
Well, it's because of how many years, but we've also had a lot of
Yeah.
lags.
We have indeed. We have indeed. So anyway, yeah, we couldn't do this tomorrow, Saturday, which is kind of the new time that we've sort of decided on. So
Yeah.
if you're watching this in post, try to hit us up on Saturday mornings. And you can follow Richie's YouTube channel.
Yeah. Happy Archaeology Fun Time, and I swear there's gonna be new content coming at some point.
Well, either way,
It's all
if you go over
recorded.
there and if you go over there and hit the subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and then head over to the ArcPodNet Facebook group, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I guess the Facebook page, not
Yeah.
group. Head over to our Facebook page and follow that, and you should get notified when we do go live. And we usually give it about 5-10 minutes before we come live. So
Yeah.
But yeah, Saturday morning Pacific time, Saturday early afternoon East Coast time for the United States. So like 9 a.m. Pacific. Was it 9 that we're trying to shoot for? We haven't hit that in a while. But
Well,
yeah,
we'll get there.
I know. But you've got stuff to do tomorrow.
Same here.
We're leaving our current location tomorrow morning, and
Yeah.
I'll literally be on the road during that time. So because
Ooh.
that's like 11 my time. I'm in Central right now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're doing it now. So there you go.
Oh wait, we should say where we are, because I'm basically back home. I was supposed to be out on a project, but then it snowed, so now I'm back.
It
Back
snowed.
home in Reno.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And isn't it snowing in Reno right now? I thought
No.
I saw some people talking about it, or did it snowed recently or something, right?
Yeah, it's coincided with the snowstorm that basically sent me home.
Okay. Yeah,
Except
'cause
that it only snowed one day in Reno, but it's been snowing for like 3 days straight where I was, and of course, someone was super obsessed with staying at the super nice hotel in town, which happens to be at the damn top of the hill where all the skiers are. So
Right.
obviously, that's great when it's like summer and nice, but when you're trying to get down the hill and it's snowing and you don't want to put on your chains, it's like
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Also,
Well,
by the way, before
I'm in New
we
Orleans.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was
finish.
gonna say, before I forget, I was at the coffee shop yesterday in Mammoth, and one of the baristas also is a rescue person, and apparently there's something that the rescue people in town call the strip of death, because it's like apparently it takes a lot of skill to ski there, but not everyone has skill, or everyone swears they have skill, and then they find out they don't beforehand. Then it's very
Right.
they find out too late.
Right.
Kind
Yeah.
of like the way
totally.
everyone's a good driver until the accident happens.
Yeah, totally. Man, I saw some accident already over the pass there on 80.
Ugh.
Saw some news report about it. Yeah, somebody got tangled up with some semis. Man, it's just starting to get into that bad time. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're down here in New Orleans, Louisiana. We've been
Ooh.
here since Sunday. Monday was Halloween as
Ooh.
we're recording this.
Did you do anything?
Yeah. Well, we're down here with a RVing group called the Escapers.
Yeah.
It's a subgroup of the Escapees, which is a much larger group. Yeah. Escapers is spelled with an X, and they're supposed to be like working age RVers, although they'll take anybody anytime. They don't really discriminate on that. But it's really kind of a group of people who work. So when we come down to one of these events, it's for the whole week, Sunday to Saturday.
Yeah.
And they plan events usually in the evening because they know people are working during the day, which is the cool thing about it. You go to some of these like older demographic RVing events and they're doing stuff all day because they're all retired, right?
course.
So, people here have to actually work. There's only like 15 rigs in the parking lot. It's a pretty small event.
Oh.
There's about 30 of us.
Yeah.
And there's like half of them have Starlink. so if that tells you anything.
Oh wait, what
Yeah.
are the older people who don't work? What do they use?
Oh, there's still some people here using like cellular modems and stuff like that, or just cellular enabled tablets or sharing or something like that. I haven't really talked to them about it, but I've heard a few people mentioning how they're using like a hotspot or whatever, which is, not uncommon, to be honest with you. It's still relatively common for people to do that. But
Yeah.
anyway, we have all kinds of events here, but on Monday night,
Yeah.
they rented out. First off, they got a nice like luxury tour bus to come pick us up, and they drove us
Ooh.
down to the French Quarter, right
Yeah.
down to Bourbon Street. We got out and went straight into a third floor balcony, private balcony with an open bar and like appetizers, and we just
Ooh.
got to be on the balcony and throwing beads down and stuff. Unlike Mardi Gras, you don't really throw beads for nudity, although that did happen. But it's really more for costumes, because you're just watching the people go by with costumes. So I think there was a lot of cool ones, but I think one of my favorites, just because of their reaction, was there were like 4 guys that went by in Ghostbusters outfits, and they were going by, and I was yelling Ghostbusters, but it was like really loud, and they weren't hearing that. And then I yelled, "Who are you gonna call?" And they all turned around and yelled Ghostbusters.
Oh man, I almost thought you were gonna yell Stranger Things, but I guess you'd have to be a fan of that show.
Yeah, probably. So I don't think they were going for that. I think they were just going for Ghostbusters. So,
Oh my
but
God.
I did see a number of people dressed up like the girl from Stranger Things, the crazy one. Yeah.
Oh my God. By the way, you know how everyone was using that app where you can like make your own Halloween costume?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the one that Country Bob did for himself?
I did. I just saw that this morning. Yeah.
I'm surprised Karen didn't do that.
Yeah, she may have. She probably just didn't share it. I did it, but I didn't share mine. If I do those things, I usually just don't hit the share button. I use it for my own amusement. So I don't even remember what it said, but it wasn't very nice. I do remember that.
Oh wait,
and I don't mind. I'll share it. I just didn't do it.
Oh wait. Oh, so it generates it for you? Because I thought people were just making it up.
No, it pulls a picture from your Facebook, and I think it used my profile picture. So I don't know if it does that, or if it pulled one at random and it happened to be my profile picture. Yeah. But then it makes stuff up about you.
Oh,
I don't know what the algorithm's based on. Yeah, click on it next time. I thought people were making it at random too, and then I saw it like generated all the text, and I was like, "Oh, you bastard!"
Oh man, maybe I don't want to use it then.
Well, it doesn't share it automatically, so if you don't like it, you don't have to share it.
Oh, still though. Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway.
You know what I was reflecting upon? Like, oh wait, before I was reflecting upon something, but I just found out something when I was at the coffee shop picking this up. You know, I have like lights that work off Wi-Fi, right? You know, I can turn them on and off. Well, I found out that in one of the more recent Google updates that you don't have to, when you're on your phone looking at the app that controls the lights, because before I had to be on the Wi-Fi network. So I'd come home, be on the Wi-Fi network, or if I was leaving, I'd, make sure to check the lights before I left. But now it just works. So it'll like tell my light through my home network to turn off, even if like I'm not hooked up to it, which I thought was super cool and people should know.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And,
totally.
And it makes me want to get more lights, which I didn't anticipate.
I missed that about having a house, because we had almost all of our lights were on Wi-Fi in some way, shape, or form, and so we could turn stuff on and off while we weren't even there if we like forgot to turn lights off or whatever, or set up like you could set up. This didn't really work for us because there's 2 of us. It would work for you though. Set up like conditions, so if you like leave the house and it since you left the house, it shuts all your lights off, or it turns all your lights off when you get home, or turn them on when you get home, or something like that. So
or you can like
it doesn't work for 2 people and somebody's still there, then it just shuts all the lights off when you leave.
Well, I was gonna say, you can also like turn up or down the temperature when you're not home and someone else is.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I really wish the system we have in this RV was Wi-Fi and not Bluetooth, but they can't ever guarantee that somebody's just going to have Wi-Fi in here. So I guess that's probably why they do it. But because we can turn on our generator, we can control all the lights, the air conditioners, the fans, everything through Bluetooth, and but we can't do any of it through Wi-Fi.
Oh, really?
So,
that's a shame.
Yeah, and I have to look into the system a little more. It's nice and it does what it does, but it's a little bit rudimentary as far as all the home available stuff comes out. These guys, I think, make this for RVs, and it's I don't know, it's not as fully features as I would like it, but it would be nice if they had a Wi-Fi connector on it somewhere. So but go figure that out.
Because so you can control the locks and everything.
Not the locks. We have a standard like push button lock for the front door.
Because I've seen those on travel trailers where you can like unlock them remotely, but not through a key or a fob.
Right. I've seen those too, and for some reason those are usually made for the more rectangular style lock, because I've seen those. I was looking at buying something like that for our last RV because that was just a straight up key. Didn't even have a fob. Yeah. But this new one has a fob, but all these Class A's, they have this tall lock system, and none of the people making the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi compatible locks are making the tall ones. They're making the shorter ones that are usually for travel trailers and fifth wheels.
Yeah.
And I can't figure it out. I don't know why they're doing that. So, yeah, it's weird.
Oh,
So.
man. Now that I'm curious, because, obviously, I was out this week and I thought, I'll just throw on my snow tires next week, which was a mistake. But what do RVers do to winterize? Not obviously there's the storing RVs in the winter stuff, but I mean, what do you do to winterize when you're driving around?
You don't drive in those conditions.
Oh, that's it?
I mean, that's simply what it is. I mean, you don't put snow tires. If you're putting snow tires on your RV, you're doing something wrong. If you're carrying chains, you're probably also doing something wrong, because these things are just simply not designed for that. So, most RVs to begin with aren't even like 4-season RVs. So if you're in an area where it's cold enough to have snow on the ground, then it's below freezing, and you could crack pipes underneath, freeze your water pump, do stuff. Because while you're sitting, a lot of RVs, especially newer ones, and ours has this too, they have bay heat that comes out of the furnace. So it'll heat the bays like the water bay and keep your pipes and stuff warm in the winter. Our last one didn't. We cracked a water pump in 7-degree temperature in Amarillo, Texas. And didn't know that was going to happen. And
I bet both the temperature and the pipe.
Oh, yeah, totally. They were both a surprise. So, but anyway, while you're driving, typically your furnace, none of that's on. So it doesn't matter if you have heat or not. So it's just going to be cold and covered in snow down there, and it's just not a good situation. So I think the real answer is most RVers just don't put themselves in that situation. Now, if you're at a park or something for the winter and you get snow or frequent cold temperatures, then there's winterizing things you can do there if you're living in it. Obviously covering the sides and stuff with like a fence so air can't blow underneath your RV.
I mean, we saw that at, oh God, I forget the name of the reservoir, but north of Elko.
Oh yeah.
Wild Horse.
Yeah, up at Wild Horse.
Yeah.
Yep. So I envy you that you already forgot the name, because I had not.
But you never know. You might have to learn it again. It depends.
We'll see. I doubt it. So.
I meant to ask you, by the way. Everyone's been trying out those AR glasses that look just like Ray-Bans, but they're for they head track, but they can also just be used for straight up displays, but they're AR. Have you seen those? I forget the name of it.
Well, Ray-Bans are making those.
But there's one specifically.
Well, Ray-Ban has their Ray-Ban Stories, which is a little bit different. It's not really a display; it's more of a recorder. But I saw one recently on Kickstarter or Indiegogo that they call it an XR display that looks like Ray-Bans.
Ooh!
But there's lots of companies doing that. It's not unique anymore.
Because I'm wondering how many people are gonna. I'm wondering how many people are gonna start just start using. Because obviously you're using them, but I feel like at some point maybe it'll just become more popular because everyone always wants more screen real estate.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm looking them up right now.
For most of these things, it comes down to how they connect to your device. If it's wireless, is it good? If it's not wireless, does the cord get in your way? Because I have the AR glasses that aren't wireless, and I, to be honest, do not use them that much because.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got to be the right circumstances to use them, and I'm rarely in the right circumstances. So I use my VR headset more than I use my AR glasses.
Interesting, because it's called the Nreal Air AR display glasses. So they're meant literally just to display your computer. It can be used with Apple with iPhone and stuff too. But I assume it's meant primarily for laptops. I might be wrong.
Right. I don't know. It'd be cool. I'd like to see that more and more of that stuff is coming out, but there's not a lot of, I don't know. There's not a lot of people that want to or need to use something like that, because anybody who needs a lot of screen real estate probably has it. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, what happens if you're in the coffee shop?
Well, true, but again, that's a smaller subset of people these days that are working like that remotely. The new remote workers from COVID, they've all got computer setups at home, and they're working out of a home office. They're not the true nomads that will go work at a coffee shop or a library or somewhere else. So.
Oh my God! Yeah. By the way, I just had a inspiration, a thought. Well, not inspiration, more like a terrible thought. Are you going to pay your $20 to get Twitter verified? If you've seen that controversy.
Probably not. So
apparently really Stephen King was complaining about that on Twitter, and Elon Musk was trying to bargain with him in the comments.
Nice, nice. I'm just not sure what the benefits of that are.
Yeah.
It just means you paid $20. It doesn't mean you're verified for anything. It just means you paid the money. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it was handy in the past when, you have like celebrities and famous people and people trying to clone their accounts. And,
Yeah.
if you find the one that's been verified, chances are, some sort of recognition has been done by Twitter employees that this person is who they say they are. But if anybody can just pay $20 and get it done,
Yeah.
then it loses all meaning.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It just, speaking of that, speaking of the APN, I was curious, you were uploading like shows like I forget was
Promos.
it like yeah, well no, you were uploading stuff to YouTube that were like the complete shows.
Oh.
Yeah, are you gonna do that again now that you're up and running?
I mean, we did that a while ago in the past. I haven't done it recently.
Because I know, was it Life in Ruins was doing that?
Yeah, so they do video all the time, and through Zencaster, we have the ability to just pull down their combined video as a whole feed and unedited. But I'll tell you what, man, it still is a pretty long commitment, as you know, to take that video, even if we don't edit it, drop it into something, put on some sort of APM bumper in and out, in the beginning and the end, and maybe trim out some of their stuff that probably shouldn't be there, like at the beginning and end of segments, and then export that as like a 2 gigabyte file and then upload that to YouTube. It is just so much work for such a low amount of payoff, because we just don't.
That's
and
true.
I know that if you do more of that, you will get more subscribers typically, and if you don't do it, you're not just going to make subscribers happen. But still, if I had somebody that was willing to do that for us, then more than happy to. But since I'm doing most of the editing, there's just no time for that. But,
wait, how many more subscribers do you need to make that happen?
Oh my God. I mean, we probably need 400 more subscribers to make that happen, if I had to just guess.
See, the NPR,
Because
that's like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
I know. Well, that's like 20 years to us. But yeah, I mean, right now, the first thing we're paying for when we get to X number of subscribers is full-time editing, right? I need to take that off my plate so I can focus on other stuff. But then the next thing would be, additional content based on the content we have, which would include stuff like posting to YouTube and other networks and such, doing little things like that. But we'll see. We are doing in the vein of the APN. I haven't announced it anywhere because I think a date was just chosen. Let me verify this. Because I haven't even posted this anywhere yet. But it looks like on the 20th of November.
Oh, it's coming up sooner than we think.
Yes. And it's been a little while just pulling this together, but we're already working on another one for February. So
yeah.
But on the 20th of November at 10 a.m., it says Tennessee time. I don't know if that's Central or Eastern because Tennessee has both, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to find out. We have one of our volunteers, one of our podcast hosts is actually putting this together. It's 3 p.m. UK time. She's in Germany.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that on Slack channel.
A little bit of a weird time frame. Yeah. So, but we're putting together what we're calling like a Culturo share because it's done through Culturo.
Yeah.
And she's got 3 people coming on. I don't know anything about the guest just yet because she has to send me that still. But she's going to have 3 people coming on to basically give talks on what they're doing. And then there's going to be a long, question and answer period for the audience. So, and if anybody listening to this wants to join in on that, go to culturomedia.com. It's not up yet, but it will be probably in the next few days as I get more info on it. And then once we again get that established, then you'll be able to, sign up for it or whatever. It's free to attend, but if you miss it live, then you have to be a member to see the recording. So, because we will have the recording in our back catalog, but for members only. So, anyway,
Oh my God. One thing just popped in my mind. It's a long story, but I've been seriously thinking about getting an e-reader just because I've been reading a surprising amount of books and, it's kind of irritating to be plugged in, with my tablet, plugged into wall power because, it doesn't hold a long enough charge if I'm like really getting reading. And I found out that if you bought a Kindle recently, that Amazon has switched to the only supporting Kindles for like 3 or 4 year model, as opposed to like, you have like your like 7 or 8-year-old one and would still receive updates.
Okay.
Yeah, which made me really not want to buy one. And by the way, it led me down the rabbit path because there are now just standard e-ink tablets that are that run standard Android, and I was like, huh. I wonder if you could combine that with, like, say, a GIS recording program like Collector, and just have like a super long-running collection tablet that you would never have to turn off. It would just be on, and you'd just be able to walk around with it all day, just like the old giant yellow boxes we used to carry.
I thought they did have like e-ink style tablets that weren't just e-readers. I thought there are some of those laying around. Yeah,
they did, but they still use proprietary stuff, and so sometimes you have to sideload stuff. But the current gen, if you're looking for the I always forget their Onyx or their books, or maybe their books Onyx or Onyx books. But basically, they just for their latest generation of e-ink tablets, they switched to completely standard Android with access to the Android store without any of the complicated steps. Okay. And unfortunately, the model I really wanted, since it's like the closest in size to a Kindle, is sold out. But whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, because I was thinking, man, that would be super cool to at least try it out, like get it and like do a review. It's like, can you use this for like your Esri products or like Survey123 or WildNote?
Yeah, sure.
Because I remember, was it 2 years ago? You you know, you had an iPad Mini that just would not hold a charge when you were out at Wild Horse.
Yeah. Well, that happens a lot with these devices. If you use them a lot, eventually they'll just stop staying charged, or something in the background will just be hogging all the power and kill it immediately. So yeah, that always happens. But that's why they're relatively inexpensive, and you just buy a new one. So
you know, I meant to talk to you about the about what do you think about the controversy of the current iPad, the base model iPad, effectively becoming like A, it's $100 more, but B, they're making it so that it can only use the Apple Pencil, the first gen Apple Pencil. And I thought, man, would Steve Jobs like approve of like the direction the company's been going? Because I feel like it's just becoming another Windows manufacturer at this point.
What do you mean it can only use the first gen Apple Pencil?
Yeah, they updated it so that it looks and effectively has the same chassis as the iPad Air, but it doesn't have support for the iPad for the current gen Pencil. And they give you you have to buy a little dongle to use the Pencil, since the new base model iPad is USB-C and the first generation Pencil is Lightning. They have to give you a special dongle to like hook in your Pencil to your iPad.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is they're trying to hit different price points for people who, you know, to get people into the iPad space, but the people who don't want to buy the newest ones, you know, because the new Pencil, you don't have to plug it in at all. It charges magnetically by putting it on the top of the iPad.
Which makes it cool.
Yeah, totally. But that being said, I think they're just, it's the reason they keep older phones around too, like a few generations back. They always keep something that's, you know, 2 or 3 numbers back. And it's just it's just to get people into that space. And, you know, some people see it as, well, they're just screwing people out of the newer technology, but the people don't want to pay for the $1,500 phone or the $1,500 iPad. They don't want that. They want an $800 one. And if you want a cheaper one, well, you're not going to get the latest bells and whistles. That's just kind of how technology works.
Oh my God.
So,
I just had a thought. We should do a poll to see how many people, like, what's the oldest generation of iPhone that like your average field tech has?
Oh my God. I mean, it's probably like the first one. I wouldn't doubt if somebody's rocking the iPhone 3G or whatever it was. Yeah.
Because I keep running into people like, I don't even know, is the iPhone 4 even 4G? Because I keep running into people who have those.
I don't think it is. I don't know what the first 4G iPhone was, but it wasn't called the 4G. It was called something else. So yeah, I couldn't even tell you.
Because I've been running into people who have been getting that message. I don't know. I think it's over now, but that message like 3G will be discontinued. And like I was running into a bunch of people last fall who were like freaking out because they were getting that message. And I'm like, dude, how old is your phone?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, man, it's crazy.
All
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listened to the latest episode of the CRM Arc podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of kids running around.
Yeah, Doug's kids. No, are you going to cancel us after listening to it? Did we totally offend you with something that we said, and you're gonna blast us and not listen to it ever again?
Oh, of course.
Okay, that's what I expect. Yeah.
Actually, that's what I was gonna ask about. Like, like other than that one episode, has anything ever happened on Twitter like the CRM Arc podcast? I feel like it's never turned on Twitter with anyone. I might be wrong.
No, we've never had any sort of blowback that I was aware of anyway, regarding the CRM Arc podcast. And the crazy thing is, the issue that we had with an episode a couple months ago, I wouldn't even have known about that if somebody else hadn't told me, because the person who was complaining about it never tagged the APN or me or anybody else related to the show in their posts. They were just complaining about it. So, yeah. I don't know if they intended for us to see that or not, but we eventually did and responded. But like I said, in almost 10 years of that podcast, I mean, sure, we've had people, I guess, disagree with what we had to say on Facebook or something like that. But those are usually people that probably didn't even listen to the show. They just looked at the title.
True.
Because you could tell based on their comments that they were just responding to the title.
Yeah.
But, aside from that, we've never had any real blowback in 10 years, which honestly, I can't think of a single show.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had people disagree with us on random shows and things that we've said. But I can't think of a single show that's sparked like such a huge controversy or anything like that we had to pull it. That's that's pretty good for the first time in like 8 years of the network. So
well, it just means you're expanding.
Yeah. Well, I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, because I was only mentioning that because you guys are talking about preparing for winter, and on Facebook someone was asking about winter jackets, and I was reading through the comments, and you realize there's like a big range of temperatures people wear here, because someone was talking about, oh yeah, when the temperature reaches the 50s in like January. And I'm like, wow, where the hell is that?
Well, that could be here. It never really gets super cold here. Although I mean, they did get some cold temperatures, but it's random and rare. So, it can be 30 one day, and then the next day it's 70 again. So,
True.
But that's just the South. It's just generally like that. So,
because like I've worked supposedly, there were plenty of years in Nevada where obviously I didn't work over the winter, but I've worked over the winter enough here, like straight through the winter, where it's like, man, like, ugh. There's like a big difference in what you wear when it's 17 outside than when it's 50.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. So no, that's why you have to dress in layers too.
That's what I feel like that's what a third of the comments on the post I was looking at were just like layers.
Yeah. It's generally how you fix that. But
interesting.
Anyway.
Have you worked over the winter ever?
Oh yeah, we've almost consistently worked over the winter. I've never had. When I was straight up doing field work all the time, we never had a winter where we just had a couple months off.
Ooh.
We always managed to either go someplace where they had winter work or just working in the snow if we're doing like an excavation or something like that. Obviously in Nevada, you can't really do a lot of survey, but the work I often did in Nevada, I was working for somebody, or if I was working on my own and I didn't have any projects, I had other work I was doing. Yeah. So, but from a CRM standpoint, like when we were shovel bumming and early on in our careers, we always were working either in the South where we could work year round, or we managed to have actually some office / lab jobs in Reno for a couple of years for different companies as well. So yeah, kind of got fortunate in that respect, but I wouldn't say it's fortunate. Like, we were willing to move and go where the work was because we didn't want to take time off, and we wanted to, keep working and have those jobs secure. So, you got to find that if you want it. And I hadn't really thought about, the idea until much later, which was what I presented in the last CRM Arc episode. The idea of intentionally taking the winter off and planning for it throughout the year. It's difficult when you're two people. It's not impossible, but it's just more difficult because there's more concerns. But if you're one person and, you have maybe a lower debt load, let's say, you don't have any kids, you don't have a spouse or a partner or anything like that. You may have student loans or whatever, but those are all just your normal bills. And if you can manage to find projects that pay you a decent per diem rate and a decent wage and put some of that away, you can probably sock away your winter money in the first 4 or 5 months of the season if you really struggled at it, and then just live normally for the rest of it, and then plan to take November, December, January, or December, January, February, whatever your season is, and just take it off and relax and do other stuff.
Ooh, or teach yourself a new skill, or maybe like find your your actual true passion career or something.
Exactly. That's kind of what we talked about in that podcast was, it might be a good opportunity to, switch careers if you want to, or do something else. So, I got this fuzz on my microphone that just won't come off.
Which is weird since you don't have a pen.
I know. I don't know what it is. It's like a little something probably from outside, to be honest. We have the windows and doors open a lot here. I know right now because we're podcasting and I didn't want to be sweating on the show. So everything's closed up and I've got the air conditioner on, but normally everything's just kind of open. So when you have that in RV, stuff just kind of floats in. And there's lots of dogs here too. So
oh God, it's like not ticks. It's like, I bet, is there like a season for ticks and like, mosquitoes there, or is it just like year round? I wonder.
Well, there definitely is. I don't know what they have here in New Orleans. There's no bugs outside here right now. Ooh. None whatsoever, which I feel like, I don't know if that's normal or not. I haven't spent this much time in New Orleans in a long time, but like when we lived down in the South and North and South Carolina, there was definitely a season for that kind of stuff. Like in the winter, you generally just didn't see ticks that much. And you generally didn't see, mosquitoes and things like that much either. I wouldn't say they were totally gone. But for the most part, they were definitely a lot less. So yeah, they definitely have a season for that stuff.
Wait, the work goes on there, doesn't it, during the winter?
Yeah, for the most part.
Ooh.
They might have some errant snow that'll shut you down for a day or two, but for the most part, it's great working in the winter in like North and South Carolina because you're doing shovel testing through briars and stuff. Yeah. And in the summertime, you basically got to use your shovel or more likely a machete or something to hack through briars to make your transects if you can't go around. And but in the wintertime, shit, you've got like a jacket on, and if you've got like a Carhartt or something that's decent that's not going to rip, and you've got your screen and your shovel, you can basically just put all that in front of you and just slam through the briars because they just break because they're dead. So
let me ask you, how many people would get to that region of the country in the winter and then be lulled into thinking that it was a great place to work, and then find out during the summer that it was like they never want to work there again?
Yeah, they'll find out pretty quick too, because it changes fast.
Oh, does it?
It changes fast. It's like one day it's all, half decent and 40 degrees, 50 degrees, and you're crashing through the dead briars. And the next day everything came back to life and it all sucks again. And then you're wearing short sleeve because not because you don't want to, I don't know, you're wearing short sleeve because if you're wearing long sleeve, I mean, the more clothes you're wearing, the more it's going to get ripped to shreds because you're going to get caught on the briars. Yeah. So instead, you just rip your skin to shreds. I haven't worked in the South in over 10 years, and I still have scars all over my arms from just crashing through briars because there's nothing else you can do. So yeah.
And yet there are people who don't want to work anyplace else, which always blows my mind.
Dude, it's so crazy. Yeah, so crazy. I don't get it at all. Yeah.
We have mutual friends who are have been in Eastern Texas forever, and I always hear that's a horrible place.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine Western Texas is any better, but it's you're really getting humid in Eastern Texas. It's really, humidity really picks up. Because we're not that far from there now. We're only a couple hours from East Texas. Yeah. Here in Louisiana. So, but we're spending some time in the South because on Saturday we're leaving for Alabama. We'll be in Alabama for maybe 2 weeks. Just depending on some certain factors, and then from there on over to North Carolina. So.
Oh wait, what food is there to look forward to in Alabama?
I have actually no idea.
Yeah, that makes two of us. I'm like, don't hate us, people of Alabama. We're curious. Yeah, I literally have no idea. There's probably a lot of seafood like there is in Louisiana if you're down near the coast, but we're going to be up in northern Alabama. I don't know what their cuisine of choice is up there. I have no idea. Oh, wait, did you try anything cool, this week?
We had kind of the thing here in New Orleans is Bowden balls and cracklins. So we didn't have any cracklins, but Bowden balls are essentially like a deep fried sausage rice thing with seasonings, which is actually not too bad. And cracklin, from what I understand, is basically fried pig skin, but it's not like pork rinds. It's like fried pig skin with a little more fat on it. So they call it crackling. It's a little more, there's a little more substance to it, I guess. And I haven't had a chance to have that yet. And I don't know if we're going to. But the last event that's planned for this week, so it's Friday as we're recording this. The last event this week is actually in a couple hours. And it's they're doing a traditional boil, which basically they have these big pots. They throw in at random at intervals, so they cook, so they finish at the same time. But usually you throw in potatoes, you throw in like a sausage, you throw in corn. A lot of times you throw in crawfish and stuff like that, like shrimp. And maybe some other stuff. But those are kind of the standards. And then you have a big table, and you basically just dump it all out on the table, and you have sauces on the table and stuff, and people just kind of walk around. You can grab a plate, but generally you just walk around, grab yourself a little potato, dip it in some some sauce, grab a piece of corn, something like that, and it's just basically just a big shrimp boil. So
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. We did it at one of my my wife's families. They vacation together for a week, usually out on the coast somewhere in North Carolina. And a couple of years ago, they did that, and it was really good. It was really good. Yeah, just a huge pot of cooked stuff, and it was just I made breakfast with some of the leftovers the next morning. I made like a scramble, cooked it up again, sort of fried it a little bit in some oil, and then put some I think I had some goat cheese that I put in there, and then some eggs, and just kind of mix it all in together, and it was really good.
Wait, have you tried that coffee that isn't coffee?
Like there? Mushroom coffee?
Wait, no. Like, what was it, chicory coffee? Or is that actually coffee?
I don't think I haven't tried chicory yet, and I thought that was just a flavor you put in it. But I have tried mushroom coffee, and it's not like everybody's always like, oh, it tastes just like coffee, and I'm like, no, not really. Yeah,
it's like,
and some of the mushroom coffee actually has coffee in it. It's just also got dried mushrooms in it.
Well, I was gonna say it's like coffee for people who don't like coffee.
I guess.
I mean,
speaking of coffee, you should check out. You should check out while you're there. I just saw a Facebook post from a friend of mine who he took one of my podcasting courses, and I was producing for him for a little while. And I don't know if he's still doing the show, but Brian Melendez, he had a show called Coffee with an Indian. He's Native American. Yeah. And I actually haven't seen his show in a while, but he still does a lot of stuff in his community. And he lives up in, or at least he's affiliated with the tribe up in Hungry Valley. Up by Reno. But anyway, there's a Native American owned and operated coffee shop on Mill Street, apparently. I don't know where
but
I think it's called, I just saw the thing. I think it's called Star City Coffee. Or it's either Star City or Star Valley. I think it's Star City Coffee. And they just opened, apparently, so you should go check it out.
I might, considering it's not quite icy here enough yet so I can go biking around.
Well, yeah, and I don't know where it's at. Mill Street is kind of a weird street to have that. I'm like, where could that possibly be on Mill Street? And I didn't look it up yet, so I don't know where it's at, but yeah.
Well, whatever.
yeah, should be fun anyway.
Oh, wait, before I forget, let's see, what else? What else do people try in New Orleans? Like, have you tried the beignets or anything?
Oh yeah. So Tuesday night. Yeah. No, Tuesday night was a free night. Wednesday night, another thing that they had scheduled for us to do was a ghost tour, a haunted places and ghost tour.
Shouldn't that have been a Monday?
I'm a huge skeptic. I know, right? It kind of was downtown on Bourbon Street, but no, we got onto a bus again and went around and it was in the evening. It was in the dark after the first 30 minutes, so that was kind of neat. But we got all the cemeteries here. They close basically at about 4:30, and so you have to have special permission to go into them in the nighttime, of course. But the cemeteries here are those. You've seen pictures of New Orleans cemeteries. You can't bury people in the ground, so they're all in above ground, like mausoleums and these structures and stuff. So it was kind of cool going to these cemeteries in the pitch dark at night and just kind of checking them out and hearing some of the stories. But we didn't see any ghosts or anything. But I'm mentioning that because the famous beignet place is Café Du Monde down in the French Quarter. That's where everybody goes. But apparently everybody in Louisiana or New Orleans says that the better one is from this place called Morning Call Coffee. And that's where we stopped on the tour. We stopped for some coffee and some beignets at 8:30 at night. It was just They were super good. I mean, they made them because they were out when we walked in. I think they were expecting to close soon, and then they had to throw a whole bunch more in the fryer. So we got like right out of the hot vat of oil beignets with like a cup and a half of powdered sugar in the bottom of the bag. So that was really good. And then tomorrow morning they ordered a whole bunch of beignets and coffee because everybody's leaving in the morning. On these escapers events, they always have like donuts and coffee in the morning on the day that you leave, and here they're having beignets and coffee. So should be pretty good. Our last little set of beignets we can get before we leave. So shouldn't be too bad. Unless we stop at a Cracker Barrel. Apparently all the Cracker Barrels around here have beignets.
Ooh, that's like a lot better. That's probably a lot better than the one we tried in Yuma then.
Did we have beignets in Yuma or the Cracker Barrel?
Yeah, we had a Cracker Barrel there.
I don't remember that. Yeah. So
well, that was like my landmark, anyway. to locate the actual place we like to go to.
Oh, right. Yeah, totally. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, totally. Yeah, because it was up on the hill there. Yeah. So, yep.
Wait, so the fact that you can't winterize a Class A, is that why everyone just ends up in quartzite?
Well, I think I mean, I think people generally in RVs are avoiding winter for the most part. Like they're living in RVs, so they don't have to deal with winter. That's why you got things like snowbirds and, people heading south for the winter. They just don't want it. And I think playing along that, why would manufacturers make them, winter compatible when nobody's going to use them in the winter, And I'm not saying you can't put chains on the drive tires.
Yeah.
You certainly can, like any truck, but they're just, with the way these things sway and stuff like that, I just wouldn't trust it in an unstable condition, a situation. Like we have anti-slip and all that stuff on this new RV, like you would in a truck or something like that. But again, I can't imagine a circumstance where I want that going off. And just dealing with it, like when this thing starts to sway, and if you're like, we don't do it when we're driving, of course, but it would happen if you were in the snow, if you were slipping around. But when we hit a bump or something that causes it to sway, or you're coming out of a driveway or something, I mean, this thing really gets to rocking, and it just has its own like momentum, and you just have to stop until it settles down, because they're just big boxes. They're not designed for that. So I can't imagine how it would be. I feel like it would just throw you into a even worse slide if you were in some sort of slippery condition. It would just, it would make the whole situation worse. So
I guess that's the reason why the only winter RVs you ever hear of are like Class Bs or B pluses. Right.
Like
I was looking at the Winnebago Echo, which is supposedly winterized, and all-wheel drive.
Yeah, well, it's much easier to make them 4-season. That's what you have to look for if you're looking for one. Call it a 4-season because that 4th season is winter.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, and you're going to pay for it too. It's going to be extra money to get all that stuff. But, it's. I think what I would do if I were like driving down 80 right now and I was like, seeing a snowstorm up there, you just pull off on a rest stop or a parking lot, put your slides down, put your jacks down, put your slides out, turn your heat on and wait it out. So, and hope it doesn't clear up until hope it clears up before March.
Well, actually, that is interesting you mentioned that because there's a particular truck camper model that they call the Arctic Fox. And it's like meant for those heavy duty pickup trucks. And one time when I was driving by Mammoth on the 395, there were just a whole row of them, like for some weird reason at this pull off spot. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Not not like the pull off on the, on the highway, but like, on, if anyone's familiar with 395, they're just for some weird reason along intervals, they're just like parking lots and they're not rest stops. They're just like there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they're crazy.
And that also makes me think I've always wanted, this is probably only a California thing, but Caltrans, when you're at those stations where they check to see if you have snow chains, Caltrans has those special fiberglass like truck campers that they have, I assume that's like, that's to give like their personnel like a break room or something. And I'm like, man, I've always wanted that. I wonder if you could bid on that on like, the wherever, those things end up.
I don't know if you want one of those after they've been used by a bunch of Caltrans employees. It might be destroyed. So.
Well, I mean, we just like buying like a company truck from like, from like a CRM company.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you would do that, because they probably bought it used to begin with.
Oh my God. Like, not, it's, by the way, that's not just archaeology companies. I was talking to a biologist and he didn't want to use his truck anymore, you know. So he stopped by the office in Sacramento and picked up one of their latest acquisitions, which was like a 2004 or 2005 4Runner that they had bought. And like they had just bought it like within the past 6 months, and that was going to be his field vehicle, which is both good and bad, because I feel like companies are part of the reason why vehicles are so expensive. But also it was like super pristine, like it had been owned by an old person or someone without kids. I'm like, man, that would have been the sort of thing I would have liked to have bought. And now it's just going to be a field vehicle.
Yeah.
You also realize how much better 4Runners used to look in the old days.
I don't know. They come and go. Sometimes they look good. Sometimes they don't. We still like the new Broncos. I got to plug this in.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Oh wait. Oh man. Oh, they're kind of wide though.
Yeah, that's true. But we want to tow one behind our RV, so because they're flat towable.
Oh
in general.
Wait, the big one or the little one? Because they have two of them. They're both named Bronco.
Yeah, the Sport. They've got the Bronco Sport and then the Bronco, and then they've got different flavors within those. I think we would probably prefer the regular Bronco, just because part of the reason we want to get it is for some of the space that it's got inside of it. You know, for doing different things. So the Sport's just smaller, but I don't know. Honestly, we'll see what happens in probably a year or so, because we're not going to get the 2023s. We're waiting for the plug-in hybrid, and that was maybe going to be this year, but now it's probably going to be 2024. So probably mid-year sometime next year, you'll be able to order the 2024 plug-in hybrid. If they come out with it then, they might delay it again. Who knows?
Ooh.
So
that'll be sooner. Yeah. God, that'll be sooner than the Cybertruck you have I assume you still have your deposit on.
I don't know what's going on with that.
I mean,
I don't know what.
I mean, how many years has it been? As you put down your deposit?
5? Yeah, at least 4. I don't know.
Because you were still at the collective then, weren't you? you were like still working out there.
Yeah, it was at least a year before we started RVing, and it was before the pandemic for sure. So it was right after they were announced as a concept, and I'm not sure what the real delay is. Maybe they didn't get a good. I mean, obviously they got mixed reviews on it and mixed reception on it, but I have a feeling, just like everything else, if they release that, a lot of people will buy it.
I mean, look at the Rivian.
I mean, a lot. Yeah, well, the Rivian looks like a regular truck, though.
Too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's I'd be surprised. I don't know if there's any Rivian dealerships yet, or if they're just selling them straight out of the factory still. There might be one or two, but I'm seeing more and more Tesla dealerships in places where you just wouldn't think there'd be a Tesla dealership. Like, it's not a surprise to see them in California, but there's one in Reno now, and, and we see them all over the place now. Tesla dealerships all over the place, and the fact that they've got dealerships everywhere now really says something about their quality. They're the number one selling electric vehicle on the planet.
Of course.
So, and it's just again, which makes me wonder, what the hell's wrong with the truck? Why can't they get it right? And why don't they just put the resources into it to put it out there? So,
well, maybe it's just like like that Roadster they were supposed to release.
Well, they released one of them in orbit around the sun.
That's true, but that was the original one.
Yeah. But
anyway. I've been curious. Like, you used to have a standing desk. How do you solve that with an RV?
So when I do want to stand, I can do that right here on my desk, because we've had for a while now. Yeah. It's a desk that holds. It's basically big enough to put the laptop on. Yeah. And maybe have another 5 inches on either side, but it's got a nice little hydraulic handle and just like a scissor arm system that goes like this, and you can lift it up and stop it at any height. So when I'm using it, I usually have it up at the top. If Rachel's using it, she has a little lower because she's shorter than me. But you can set that up pretty much anywhere. It sits right next to our wine fridge, and you can just literally pull it out and set it up. So cool. But one of the cool things that these events do is they usually do a lot crawl, which means you start at one RV if they want to participate, and you generally have like a snack and a drink or something like that that go together for the people there. And we did that last night. And one of the things, if you want, it's not required.
Yeah.
You can do RV, you can do tours of your RV because everybody loves seeing inside other people's rigs.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so we got to see inside of a whole bunch of rigs. And there's a fifth wheel a couple spaces over from us.
Yeah.
That it's a big 45-foot fifth wheel, but they don't have a garage in the back. It's full living spaces. And when you walk in, usually on fifth wheels, you walk in right in the middle and you're in the kitchen area.
Yeah.
When you turn to the right and go up the stairs, most of them have like a bathroom and then a bedroom, and this one did. But instead, when you come up the stairs, you weren't in the kitchen, you were in a hallway still, and in front of you was the office that had its own slide. And apparently there was a couch in there or something before. And I'm like, what would you even do with this? I think the couch pulled out into a bed, so it could be like a second bedroom. But they took the couch out. The guy's got a full like real standing desk right there, electronic standing push button standing desk with his displays up.
Yeah.
And there's a cabinet behind him where there's a printer and his router and other stuff. It's just like a real home office. And it's just like, it's super cool. And he's got tons of space in there because it's got its own slide. It's about 6 feet wide and has its own slide. So even when you're driving and if you were to bring the slide in and stopped and had to get into still do it. You just lose a bunch of your floor space, but you could still do it. So yeah, that was really neat. Really neat to see that.
Inspiration.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't want a fifth wheel. There's nothing could really convince. They have a lot of good features, but they got a lot of sacrifices too from a Class A. So
I imagine.
Plus
like
real good.
Well, I was gonna say you also have the additional purchase of that big giant pickup truck.
Exactly, and that's the initial thing that stopped us from doing it. But yeah, the other thing is there's just so many. Again, the one good thing you get from a fifth wheel is all the space.
Yeah.
But after that, you can't really use it with the slides in. Most of them, you can't even walk around in there with the slides in. So if you have to stop and get into your refrigerator or something like that, you got to put the slides out. You can't. A lot of them don't come with generators at all. They come prepped for a generator sometimes, but you got to buy that separately.
Really?
And some of them come with generators, but not all of them. We were just talking about this last night with a few of them, and they're just I don't know. They're just different. Again, you get all the space, but then there's a lot of extra stuff you got to worry about and think about. And I'd rather have a Class A when it comes down to it.
Are they? And you don't see many of them boondocking. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of people that boondock with those because of the roof space.
Yeah.
You can fit a crap ton of solar panels up there. So we see fifth wheels with like 3,000 watts of solar on the roof, and they've got practically an unlimited space for batteries and all the other equipment too because they've got so much storage space. So we've seen some pretty decked out fifth wheels out there boondocking. So yeah.
Ooh, that reminds me. Have you gotten your batteries yet, or is that next stop?
We still have them.
No, man,
we just haven't had them installed yet.
Yeah.
The next stop, we're hoping to either sort that out there, or we might have to just wait until we get to North Carolina if there's not time. So
interesting.
Yeah. But for the next, we're boondocking right now. That's why the generator's on because we don't have the solar and electrical capacity right now to go all day without it on. But after this week, I think we're going to be plugged in until the end of December at various places. So we don't really need the batteries to be sorted until we leave North Carolina at the end of December.
Yeah.
So, but we gotta get it figured out because for pretty much the whole month of January and February, we'll be off grid.
Oh, really?
Almost the entire time.
Oh, wait, that's like courtside time, isn't it?
It is. We're going to the big event that this club has every year in Arizona, but we're going to spend a couple weeks getting over there. I think we do have a little bit of park time, but for the most part, we're off the post, we call it, and boondocking on the way over there. And then the event is like 8 days, and that's all boondocking. And then we've got a week after that ends where we're getting down to south of Tucson, and we're going to go to Oregon Pipe National Monument or whatever it's called, right near the Mexican border.
Ooh.
Because on January 28th, we join up with a bunch of people again from this group, and we pass into Mexico for a month. And
really?
We're going to a park down in Mexico for the whole month of February, and it's completely dry. No power, no sewer, no water, no nothing. So, but it's right on the water on the Sea of Cortez. Yeah.
Interesting. Wait, how are you going to deal with your gray and black tanks when you're down there, or you just like don't?
They have they have dump services that
Yeah.
you can pay for. We can probably go about 2 weeks without having those dumped in this rig. So and we could go longer because if we just use their facilities as far as the black tank goes, if we just use their facilities and their shower and stuff, then we could probably go 3 weeks or so. We need to dump at least once while we're down there. But you have two choices. You can either pack everything up and go to the dump station for free, or you can pay the guy that comes around every day to drain your tanks and fill your water.
I can't imagine. I mean, and maybe inflation or anything, but I imagine that south of the border it's got to be a lot cheaper than it was maybe in Quartzsite.
Oh, you would think, but they see Americans coming and they know Americans have money, so it's not cheaper from what I've heard. I've heard it's about $50, which is pretty high to get your tanks dumped.
I mean, I'd probably pay it personally, but maybe that's just me.
Oh, I would totally pay it. Trust me, I don't want to pack everything up. It's totally worth it, but I just don't feel like, I feel like it's Mexico. It should be cheaper, but it's definitely not. So, because I'm pretty sure $50 is what we paid in Quartzsite.
Yeah.
Or what people were paying. We never paid it. We actually packed up all our shit in Quartzsite and went to the dump station because we also had to fill water, and they weren't filling water. So so we went to a station in town and paid $5 to dump and fill.
Wait,
so,
have you ever seen that famous dude? The one who's got the YouTube channel with the long white beard, who is in Nomadland?
Oh. I don't think I've ever actually personally seen him, but he was at Quartzsite when we were there. So I don't know where he was. It's such a huge place out there. You'll never see everybody, but the people that are like the Nomadland subjects, they stay in their own area, like other people do. Oh yeah, they all have areas. Everybody has areas that they go to. So yeah. But you want to stick around with your friends and people that are like you, So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Never even thought about that.
It's a huge area, and we only went to where we did because we had met people at the event we were at in Lake Havasu City before that were going down to a certain spot because they had like they call it bash. It's the annual bash, they call it. And in Quartzsite, it was like they called it like the after bash or something like that. It was a whole 1 day long party, but everybody kind of converged on this one spot, and then they had this daytime event. And then some people left and some people stayed for a few weeks after that. Like we stayed for like 3 weeks down there.
I remember that
was over.
Yeah, because that was I was slightly near there there.
Yeah, that's when you came out there, and that's right where we were parked, right where all that basically took place, like a few days before that.
Wait, do you still use those stools?
Oh yeah, we use them every day. Yeah, they're like little tables. Yeah.
What about the flagpole holder?
Absolutely. In fact, I've broken the Starlink mount twice on it.
Oh really?
And in fact, last time we were in Reno, the suction cups gave loose again and dented the Starlink, which was irritating. I didn't break it this time, but it dented it and busted off the top part again, and then busted the lower suction cups. So now that we have a ladder, I bought the same kind of mounts basically, but the ones that screw onto the ladder. So those aren't coming off. And then we had to wait. I was actually just going to buy something, but I emailed the company again, and I was like, hey, we broke another one of these. I'm just letting you know. And they're like, well, that sucks. We've got a new injection molded one, and it looks like Elon Musk's Starship. He did the shape. It's got like the fins and everything. It's crazy.
Cool.
It looks like Starship, and they just sent it to us for free. They overnighted it to us, and so that's sticking up off the ladder right now, about 12 feet over the RV.
Cool. What does that mean? You can keep it out there or no? Because I've seen, it's a long story, but I've seen people, amazingly enough, driving around with their damn antennas out, which is crazy to me.
I mean, theoretically you could, but the Starlink is not made for those kinds of high speeds. It would probably damage the motors inside if you brought it down low enough. But ours isn't telescoping, so I would have to take it down anyway to remove some sections out of the pipe. So if that's the case, we just take the whole thing down. Plus our the wire for it is just out the window and hanging off the side of the RV. We don't have a through in the roof for that. So,
that probably void your warranty.
Did you see? Not necessarily. People do that kind of stuff all the time. There's places to get it through. But have you seen they came out with the like mobile RV mountable full-time in motion Starlink?
Oh wait, I've only heard about it. I have not seen it.
Yeah, it's out. You can pre-order it for delivery in December right now.
Ooh.
And it's a bigger dish.
Yeah.
It's more powerful. It lays flat all the time. It
Yeah.
never angles itself, so it lays flat all the time, and it'll take 150 miles per hour of wind, which means
Really?
you can flat mount it to the roof of your vehicle.
Ooh.
It's the same monthly price as the one we have, $135 a month.
Yeah.
But the equipment cost is $2,500.
Wow.
So and you have to have it installed at a dealer.
Really?
So
I couldn't
Yeah, I
have it
don't
like
even know what
install
that
my
means.
Tacoma or something.
I mean, they'll install it for you, but apparently you have to have it installed. That's what it says on there. And I don't know what that means. Who are Starlink dealers? I didn't even know there was Starlink dealers. So I have no idea what that means. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
But-
he has to pay for Twitter somehow.
Yeah, I guess so. We might do that at some point when it settles down a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be a business purchase, but kind of got to get through the holidays first. So
Ooh. Well, I mean,
Right.
God, I always forget. Like, how much of that can you write off as a business
the
expense?
whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I write off all of it, 100% of it. So
Ooh.
I mean, I write off the monthly payment on our dish. So
Ooh. Wait,
because we
how much
bought
of
it
your
for our
RV
work.
payment can you write off if you have one?
It's the same thing as writing off your house. So you have to figure out what percentage of the unit you use, and then you can write off all of the expenses related to that.
Yeah.
Like if you use 25% of your house for your business as far as square footage goes, you can then write off 25% of all the rest of your utilities as well. And do that, but you got to write a little letter and include that with your taxes. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Have you written one for your RV?
Oh yeah. We use I think I have 50% in there or something like that. Yeah, we've done it every year. So, and there's pretty much everybody that works out of their RV, if they own their own business, they do that. If they're just employees somewhere, they can't do it. But if you own your own business, then you can do it.
Or you're 1099. I mean, it's the same thing basically, but
Yeah,
in a way.
if you're 1099, you own your own business.
Yeah. Because I mean, obviously there always does I don't know, you run in the CRM/biology business, you always run into those companies that are like clearinghouses for 1099 contractors to get their get their work from.
Right.
But
right.
then well, whatever. We're not going to get into the debate of whether they're actually independent contractors or not. Because it seems like they're telling them where to go and when to be there, but I'm like, but they still call themselves 1099, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. So
kind of like Uber.
Well, I gotta get some work done before before the boil tonight. So
yeah, and let me see if there was anyone actually watching. I mean, there were a few people watching.
Yeah, I see. There's two in there now. I'm one of them. I assume. I don't know who the second one is.
But thanks to anyone who saw this live or is going to tune in afterwards. Thanks for tuning in. And is there anything interesting coming up on the APN this week now that you guys have officially restarted, or soon?
Not really. The only thing is that Cultural Share event coming up on the 20th. Oh, I guess I can announce. The Dirt podcast is leaving the APN.
Oh, they are?
So, yeah, they've both had changes in their work situations, and they can't really keep the pace of shows that they've had in the past. And because of that and other reasons, they just have decided to go a little more casual with it and just remove it from the APN, since they can't really stay consistent with everything. And we're trying to put advertising on stuff and things like that, and we need shows to if we sell ads on a show, well, we need that show to put out episodes. So I totally understand it. They could be back in the future. And if you're following the Dirt, their feed is simply just going to transfer to a new host, and you probably won't notice any difference if they do it right. Same thing as when they came onto the APN, they already had a feed. We just transferred it to the APN hosting platform. So they're going to transfer off of ours and onto something else. And so hopefully their listeners don't notice any difference. The only listeners for the APN that would notice the difference is the all shows feed listeners, because they won't be posting shows to that anymore.
Oh,
so,
good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's I was gonna say, oh, good, but I listen to them on their feed, and I'm like, that's a shame. I kind of like them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, you'll still be listening to them. They'll just, from the sounds of it, they'll just have less frequent number of episodes, and they'll be a little more casual on their release schedule. So they should be still putting stuff out.
And hopefully Amber can laugh as much as she wants, or whoever it was who was they were complaining about.
Right. Yeah, I remember we were talking about that. Yeah.
Damn, that's a shame. I really like that show, but whatever.
Yeah, like I said, we may see him again in the future. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So, but their back catalog will stay on the APN. So
cool. Well, the ones that were originally published on the APN, I assume.
Yes. The first 2 years is still on their feed, and then there's the whole back catalog that's on the APN. And then anything going forward will be on their feed again. So.
Ooh. Oh wait, when can we expect the next? Oh God. Oh, I always forget the name. The pseudo archaeology show.
Next week, I think, because there wasn't one this week, and it's every 2 weeks. So I think it's off weeks from CRM Arc podcast, and that came out on Wednesday. So the next one should be coming out this coming Wednesday.
Cool.
So,
and I assume Paul's back to do more Archaeotech.
No, Paul's still in Lagash.
Oh, really?
I have I think I have an interview that's coming out next week, and possibly another one after that. So,
interesting.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Paul's been out for a while. So, and then Rachel and I recorded 2 interviews in October, and those are the first 2 episodes coming out, one on Sunday and one the following Sunday. And then hopefully we'll be back to our just the 2 of us news episodes, so which are fun to record. So we'll be back to those in a couple of weeks.
Oh my God, that should be like the name of the shows you do with each other. Just the 2 of us.
Just the 2 of us. Yeah. Nice. So.
All right. Well, thanks. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you maybe next week. We'll see. Maybe.
We'll see. It depends on how the following week goes. What we're doing on Saturday.
All right.
All right.
All right. Let's see. We're not.